In today's video, we're going to explore the bizarre and unsettling occurrences that happened in Highgate Cemetery in the mid-19th century. From strange booms in the night to the long, weary wails that echoed through the graveyard and sent people scurrying in fear, this is a story you won't want to miss. Highgate Cemetery is one of London's oldest established graveyards, and it has a rich, deep history about it. From the Gothic architecture to the various names of rich and famous people who are buried there, it's a site that many people visit simply to absorb the atmosphere. But in 1839, a series of events terrified people, and many refused to go to the graveyard. At this time, London's population was booming, and so was the death rate. And there was one problem: there simply weren't enough graveyards in the city to contain all the bodies. In some cases, people were buried in the cellars. Sometimes they were buried alongside houses. It didn't matter. Wherever there was space, a body would be buried. And this led to many problems. The fluids of the dead contaminated the water system, leading to cholera and many other deaths. The City Council came up with an idea: to create Highgate Cemetery. Highgate Cemetery was, as it is now, tranquil and beautiful, but at that time, something disturbing was brewing beneath the surface. In the 1850s, caretakers and visitors started reporting hearing strange sounds, of seeing the earth around crypts and graves shifting. This terrified many of them, obviously, and few of them wished to visit their relatives or to tend the graves. There were whispers of monsters and ghouls, even vampires, and these tales, these myths, brought many people from the streets of London searching for these creatures, to either capture them for fame and wealth or to destroy them. Some other people refused to visit the graveyard. They said that the wails, the strange noises coming from the grave, were a sign of the end of times, that the dead were rising up to draw the living to hell. The authorities took action. They started preventing people from entering the graveyard at night, and the reason for the sounds soon became apparent. Still, some people, caretakers and family, refused to give up on their loved ones or their jobs and continued visiting the graveyards. These are the words of John Cooper, a caretaker who worked in Highgate. I remember walking towards the exit of the graveyard. The sun was setting and the day was nearly done. But then something caught my ear, a sound. At first, it seemed like a squeak, but then it rose louder and louder until it became a wail, a banshee-like howl that echoed through the graveyard. Suddenly, a huge boom ripped through the air, and to my left, one of the crypts shuddered. I ran. In another case, Amy Millhouse went to visit her mother's grave. Amy's mother had died 2 years before. My mother's buried in the centre of the graveyard, and it took me a couple of minutes to reach the headstone. When I arrived at her grave, I knelt down to place the flowers on her headstone. But at that point, something terrifying happened. I could hear a deep wailing coming from beneath the earth. I was so frightened, I wanted to run, but before I could, a foul stench started rising up, and there was a massive crack. The earth shifted, the soil split open. I ran as fast as I could. The authorities in charge of the graveyard moved quickly to quell any idea of monsters and beasts. After a short investigation, they discovered the reason for the sounds and the movement of the earth. The Victorians were obsessed with cleanliness, in particular ensuring that disease and germs didn't escape from graves and coffins and pollute the water system as they had done in the past. So they sealed the coffins tight. There was one problem. When a body starts to decay, it gives off gases. If the coffin's sealed tight, those gases can't escape. They slowly build up and up and up until the sheer force of pressure causes a coffin to smash open, shattering gravestones, breaking open crypts. This was the source of the wailing that people heard, of the banshee-like howls that echoed through the night, and the cracks and booms that terrified so many people who visited or worked in the graveyard. The authorities quickly found an answer. They drilled holes into the coffins to allow the gases to escape. The terror of Highgate Cemetery. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the story, and if you have, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another tale of the dark and mysterious.